What if I told you that there was a man who didn't experience death? An ordinary man, with an absolutely unusual destiny. A man who walked with God until he disappeared from the earth. That's the story of Enoch, the man who was taken to heaven while the world was plunged into darkness. Before darkness completely dominated the hearts of men, there was a time when the earth still carried the scent of Eden, where the first generations walked under the echo of God's voice, a world that still pulsed with traces of creation. The time of the patriarchs, direct descendants of Adam and Eve, were scattered across the earth, still touched by the memory of the lost garden. But something began to change. Slowly, like a creeping shadow, man's heart turned away from the Creator. The beauty remained, but the spirit became corrupted. It was in this world, at this turning point between the sacred and the profane, that Enoch was born. An ordinary man, but with eyes that saw beyond. A restless, different spirit. He carried in his veins the blood of Seth, Adam's third son. And in his eyes, a question that the world had forgotten to ask. Where is God? While the world gave itself over to chaos, Enoch grew in silence, not with the strength of men, but with the strength of a spirit in search of the eternal. And without knowing it, his every step brought him closer to a destiny that would change everything, walking side by side with God himself. But what made Enoch so different? What separated him from the rest of humanity? In the next few minutes, you'll be immersed in the most mysterious spiritual journey of all time. Among the thousands who inhabited the earth at that time, one man stood out, not for his strength, not for his fame, but for something the world had forgotten. He walked with God. His name was Enoch. Walking with God didn't just mean praying. It meant living in constant communion, holiness, and renunciation. While men were building cities, accumulating power, and indulging in carnal desires, Enoch heard a voice that few could still hear. His heart burned for something greater, for answers that were not to be found on pagan altars or in the traditions of men. Enoch began to see visions, deep revelations that transcended time and space. He saw things that no one else had seen, and he heard things that the world was not prepared to hear. And I, Enoch, was blessing the Lord of Majesty and the King of the ages, and my eyes saw the secrets of heaven. Enoch's calling was not to preach, not to rule, but to see the invisible, to hear the inaudible, to be a witness to the spiritual while still inhabiting the physical world. And then came the final call, a voice that didn't come from the earth, an invitation that could not be refused. Enoch had to walk beyond the flesh, beyond time, to know the secrets of the Most High. But what did Enoch see when he was taken? What are the heavenly mysteries that no other man has dared to reveal? Get ready, because in the next block you will see the unspeakable. When the crowd celebrated what perishes, Enoch sought what is eternal. While wine set men's flesh on fire, silence set the seeker's soul on fire. He renounced comfort, he renounced applause. His prayer was not for gold, but asking for closeness, and heaven answered. The scoffers called what was holiness luck. For those who walk with God, even stones know the limit. It was then that the wind ceased. Enoch heard the voice that does not pass through the eardrums, but pierces the soul. Follow me. There are secrets that only those who walk will receive. It was on one of those days when Enoch was walking alone. That time seemed to stop. The wind ceased. The birds fell silent. And an overwhelming silence fell over everything. A silence that was not of the earth. Silence is the harbinger of something sacred. Before God manifests himself, the world enters into reverence. And then his eyes were opened, but not like ours. Enoch saw what no one else saw. Mountains that shone like crystal, rivers of fire, and thousands of beings who were not of this world. God allows Enoch to see the spiritual structure of the universe. There is no turning back after that. He saw books, lots of books, and an angel writing down names, dates, decisions. The fate of souls was written down, page by page. The scales of judgment were swinging. Heaven is not just beauty, it is justice. Judgment is always active. Every soul matters. And then a voice. But not an ordinary voice. It didn't enter his ears. It pierced his soul. It was the call. A call that few receive, and almost no one understands. There is a call that cannot be heard with the ears. Only those who walk with God recognize it. From that moment on, Enoch no longer belonged entirely to the earth. He had set foot where no man had dared to tread, and heaven was now watching him. Enoch was not alone. Beings of light came to meet him, with eyes that reflected infinity. They guided him through heavenly corridors where time and space bowed to God's will. These angels showed him the secrets of creation and the divine purpose for humanity. But not all the angels were messengers of light. Some had rebelled, defying the Creator. Enoch was warned. These fallen angels, known as the Watchers, had corrupted the earth, spreading sin and violence. Their fate was dark, but their impact eternal. Finally, the voice of the Most High commanded. Enoch was to be the messenger of truth, the prophet who would denounce the horrors caused by the Watchers and warn humanity. It was a heavy burden, a mission marked by solitude and courage. Enoch accepted, knowing that his life would never be the same. Enoch's mission was just beginning, and the revelations he would bring would forever change human understanding of heaven, earth, and what lurks in the shadows between them. Enoch didn't just walk between the worlds, he wrote down what he saw. The Book of Enoch, a collection of visions, prophecies, and accounts, reveals a disturbing insight into the judgment of the fallen angels, the future of humanity, and heavenly secrets kept under lock and key. In the pages of the book, the terrible prophecy of the Last Judgment emerges, where the rebellious angels will be condemned and the earth will undergo purification. An apocalypse that will bring both destruction and rebirth, and eternal. The real battle is not just physical, but spiritual. Every human soul is a field of conflict where light and darkness duel for supremacy. The choice between following the path of light or succumbing to darkness is a daily one, and the consequences reverberate eternally. But even in the deepest darkness, the light never disappears. The divine promise is that justice will triumph, that the heavenly war will come to an end, and that faithful souls will be set free. A hope that sustains faith and fuels resistance against the forces of darkness. But even in the deepest darkness, the light never disappears. The divine promise is that justice will triumph, that the heavenly war will come to an end, and that faithful souls will be set free. A hope that sustains faith and fuels resistance against the forces of darkness. The war between light and darkness remains invisible to human eyes, but its impact is real and eternal. The decision of each soul defines not only its destiny, but the future of the world. May we choose wisely, for the battle is far from over.